Hello again, it's Miss Wilson, and this is Spiral Review number 4. And let's go ahead and just get right to it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we need to always keep these concepts in our mind. We are going to be doing multiplication. So let's just review. This is just whole number times whole number in both situations. So pause the video, write these two problems down, see if you can solve them yourself, which I bet you can, and check your work after you push play. All right? Pause that video. Okay, welcome back. I hope that you've solved these already. So the very first thing we're going to do with this multiplication is we are going to multiply 6 times 7. And 6 times 7 is 42. So the 2 goes down, 4 comes up. 4 times 7, yes, it's 28. And 28 plus 4 is 32. 32. Okay, and 5 times 7, yes, it's 35, and 35 plus 3 is 38. So if you got 3,822, you're absolutely correct. Yeehaw. Okay, so this one we have a 2-digit times a 2-digit number. This is just an extension question, could we have written this as 12 times 76 and still gotten the same final product? Yes, absolutely. There's commutative property in multiplication. We can multiply in any order. All right, so let's get down to it. We are going to be multiplying our first factor, which is 76, times this ones place number here, which is 2. So 6 times 2 is 12. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Okay, so what we're going to do now is cross off our work. I'm going to change colors. We are going to now multiply 76 times 1. But what do we do here? We're actually not multiplying times 1. We're multiplying the value of this 1, which is 10. That's why we have to put this 0 here as a placeholder. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're just going to multiply 6 times 1, which is 6. 7 times 1 is 7. We're going to add these two partial products. 2 plus 0 is 2. That's 11, 7, 8, 9. So if you got 912, you are absolutely correct. So isn't that interesting that 76 times 12 yields a much lower value than 546 times just 7? Well, if you think about it, that's 7 groups of 546. That's a bunch. And this is 12 groups, which is not very many more than 7, 12 groups of just the number 76. So while this may look like it might have a bigger value at the end, this over here, 3,822, has a much larger value as the final product. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the next section here. We've been talking about division this week. This is our main focus. So it's good. Let's refresh our memory. It's just whole number divided by whole number. Okay, so let's set this up. Remember, our dividend is what we have. Our division starts with what we have. So we might have 744 special pencils, and we have 6 classrooms that we're going to divide them amongst. So we want to find out how many pencils go to each classroom so we can count them out and all that. We might have a leftover, a remainder. That's totally possible. So this is our divisor. And I hope that you remember. If not, let's go ahead and look at this problem as a fraction. And did you know that fractions and division are the same? Your numerator is what you're looking at, and that's what we have. That's what we have going on here, right? And your denominator represents how many are in each group. And isn't that exactly what we're doing with division? And this is so true. So we're going to find out what this means by long dividing. So 744 divided by 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and make our place value lanes. It's very important that you remember, you don't have to do this, but you need to remember that division has place value. So you have to make sure that you keep your partial quotients, which are here, here, and here, in the place value position where they belong. So let's start. If we have 7, oh, by the way, please pause this video, try to solve these yourself, and we want, if we have one, we want a decimal remainder in this one, okay? All right. Come on back when you're ready. Okay, so if we have 7 and we want to make groups of 6, this means we have 700s. How many groups can we make? We can only make one in each group, for instance. Okay, so 6 times 1 is 6. So that's what we were able to put into groups out of those 700s. Okay, so that leaves us with one group of 100. Okay, we can't do anything more with that, so we regroup into 10s. So if we have 14 10s, can we make groups of 6? Absolutely, we can make 2 of them because 6 times 2 is 12. It's not 14, it's 12, but we can do that. We would have a leftover. So 4 minus 2 is 2. That's your remainder in this portion of the problem. And then we would have 4 that we bring down. We have to regroup into 1s. And 6 goes into 24, or 24 divided by 6 is exactly 4. So we're not going to need a decimal value there. We're going to have a remainder of 0. Could we write that? Absolutely. So our answer here would be 124. That is called our quotient. Very valuable vocabulary word. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this when we're dividing by a 2-digit whole number this time. It's no different. You ask the same exact questions that you asked yourself when you divide by a single-digit whole number. You actually go through the exact same process. It just has larger values. Okay, so let's write this down, and once you've finished working it, I want you to come back and check your work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark my place value lanes. They still exist even when we're multiplying or dividing, keep saying multiplying, dividing by 2-digit numbers. They still have place value in our quotients, okay? There needs to be a value above each place value position in our dividend, okay? So let's go ahead and start off. If we have 500s, can we make a group of 13 with only 5? No, that is impossible. You cannot do that. Do not have enough. So if the answer is no, you write a 0 here. That holds your place value position. Okay, so then we just look at the next value. Well, let's regroup into 10s. If we have 59 10s, longs, okay, if we were looking at place value base 10 blocks, if you have 59 longs, can you make groups of 13? Absolutely, but do you know how to count by your 13s off the top of your head? I don't either. So let's go ahead and work this. If we know what 13 times 1 is, it's 13, right? Okay, but what's 13 times 2? You might know that one for sure. Okay, that's 26. If you need to multiply it out, there is no shame in that. Prove your work. So that's 6 and 2. So there we go. We were right. Okay, well, that's not very close to 59, so let's keep going. 13 times 3, let's see. 13 times 3. When in doubt, work it out. So we have 9 and 3. 39, we're getting closer. Let's try 13 times 4. Don't know? Then let's write it out. 13 times 4. Okay, so that's 12. Bring up your 1, and that's 5. Ooh, 52. That is honestly as close as we can get. Okay, there's no way we could fit another group of 15 between 52 and 59. So this is the partial quotient we're going to place up top. Don't forget that. Okay, so we were able to put 52 into groups. So let's take that out. 9 minus 2 is 7, and this, of course, is 0. So 7 less than 13. Bring down your 8. Oh my goodness, we have work to do. Okay, so 52 is not going to be enough. So let's try 13. Was I saying 15? Oh my goodness, 52 is not enough for 78. So let's make another group of 13. Let's try 13 times 5. If you don't know what that is, just work it out. When in doubt, work it out. That's 15. That's 65. Well, that's getting closer. but let's try 13 times 6. We want to make sure that we get the closest group. 13 times 6. Okay, that's 18, and oh wow, look at that. It is 78. It's exactly 78. That is a giant 6. Good grief, that looks kind of weird. Okay. So it's exactly 6. So we're going to place this value right here in our partial quotient because 13 times 6 is exactly 78. So again, we actually did not end up with a remainder of any sort. So we're done. So our answer is, our quotient is 46. So 13 times 46 is 598. If you got those right, awesome, awesome. If not, let's just keep on practicing. All right, so I'm going to clear my board. Okay, and I'll move this up to our word problem. Okay, so you don't need to write this whole thing down, but I do want you to show your work. So let's go ahead and read this through, then pause your video and try to think about what you would do to solve this. Okay, it says Missy's Muffins caters breakfast events. One Saturday morning, they made 2,244 muffins and packaged them into boxes of a dozen. Okay, so you have to think, what is a dozen? All right, so how many boxes of muffins did Missy's Muffins make? Okay, so why don't you pause the video, think about it for a minute. We're going to have to know what a dozen means. So when we come back, we'll set this up. Okay, so I hope that you've decided that, well, let's talk about it. Are we going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? So let's think. We have a total of 2,244 muffins. When you start off with a total, more than likely you're going to be, if you start off with a total and you're going to be putting them into groups, you're going to be either subtracting or dividing. We know for a fact that we're going to be putting these into boxes of the same size unit. So that would tell us that we are in fact going to divide, because that's what division is. You take a value and you separate it into equal groups. So now we have to know what a dozen is. A dozen is 12. So we are going to take 2,000, this would be your expression, 2,244 divided by 12. And that will give us the answer to how many boxes of muffins Missy's Muffins make. So go ahead, pause the video again. Let's set this up and solve it. Okay, so I hope you have your answer. I hope you paused your video and have your answer already ready to go and ready to check. So I'm going to go ahead and again put my, oops, gosh, that's really ugly. Put my place value lanes in there marked, and I'll change to orange. I'll make the answer stand out really well. Okay, so we're talking about groups of 12. So again, you start off the exact same way. If you have two groups of 1,000, do you have enough groups of 1,000 or 1,000 cubes to put to make groups of 12? No, you only have 2. Answer is no. You write a 0. Remember, each one of these values in your dividend needs to have a response above it as a partial quotient. That'll help you keep your place value while you're learning. Okay, so if you have 22, we've regrouped into hundreds. If you have 22 hundreds, can you make groups of 12? Well, yes, and you might think you can make 2 groups, but what is 2 groups of 12? Well, 12 times 2 is actually 24. Do we have enough to make 2 groups? No, because we would have to have at least 24 here, so we can only make 1 group. So we write that down right here. We would have 10 left over, so we need to bring down, oh, that's 104. We have a long way to go. So if you know your 12s, you probably know already which value to pick. But if you don't, let's go ahead and what I told my kids last year is start with 12 or start with times 5 and see where you go. And you can adjust from there. So 2 times 5 is 10. That's 5, 6. Oh gosh, that's only 60. We need almost twice that much. So let's go for something big. Let's do 12 times 8. See what happens. Okay, 2 times 8 is 16. And 8 times 1 is 1 plus 1 is 9. 96. Well, that's awfully close, but can we double check and make sure that 12 times 9 isn't going to work? I think we should. I think this is going to be our winner, but let's double check. 2 times 9 is 18. Oh, that'd be 108. So if you knew your 12 facts off the top of your head, you might know that 9's not going to work. 8 is going to be your winner. So let's put our 8 there. 12 times 8 is 96. We take that out of what we have here. 4 minus 6, can't do that. But can you borrow from a 0? No. Can you borrow from a 1? Yes, that's 0, then that's 10. Then that becomes 9, that becomes 14. And we have 8 left over. That would be a 0 and a 0. Okay, 4. Oh gosh, wait. We skipped a couple of values here. We went 12 times 5 is 60. That's not enough. 12 times 8 is 96. That's too much. So let's back down a group. Let's try 12 times 7 and see if we get closer to 84. Again, if you know your 12s, you might have already instantly picked that out, but we can prove it. Okay, when in doubt, work it out. 2 times 7 is 14, and there's 8. It's exactly 84. So let's put that 7 down there. 84, and we have 0 left over. So our answer to our question, how many boxes of muffins did Missy's Muffins make? Missy's Muffins made 187 boxes. Yeehaw, that's a lot. Good job, guys.